Drita, or in other words, the Sword of Dreta, is a great lineage of warriors. In every generation, representatives were born with great physical strength and innate unknown abilities. Their character and will, which helps those in need, managed to provide great support to the entire empire. For their efforts, they were awarded the title of the Imperial Sword. It turns out that the emperor himself appointed them. The emperor also gave them a sacred sword named Garcian. This weapon was imbued with the power of a god. It so happened that the person fortunate enough to become its owner was the only daughter of their family. Her name was Erika Drita, or in other words, the treasure of Drita. Right now, this girl is engaged in farming. She worked a bit, then stood up and declared that she had finally finished. She added that now she would get an excellent harvest. As it turned out, the girl turned this sword into a hoe. She thought it would be much more convenient for her. After these terrible actions, she was noticed and asked how she could desecrate a divine gift in such a way. She said that she'd had enough of those words, and so her days passed on her farm. It might sound strange, but unfortunately for her parents, she has no time at all to learn swordsmanship. Because now, every free minute, the main heroine dedicates to growing rice. A girl born into the greatest family, enjoying all the riches and luxurious life. But that was only until recently. In her world, the heroine was an entrepreneur, and her business was related to rice cultivation. Just recently, she suddenly recalled her old life and remembered her past life. The girl realized that she had ended up in a novel called The Noble Countess. According to the plot, Erika, whose body she ended up in, is the villainess of the novel. When the girl remembered this, she thought what had happened and whether she was really in the villainess's body. The heroine knew she was a secondary character who constantly tries to ruin the life of the main heroine. And in the end, she is publicly executed. She thought that her fate wasn't the best at the moment. At first, the girl blamed God for everything, but then she realized something. She realized that living together with her aristocratic parents, who loved her dearly, wasn't so bad after all. Add to that the power of Drieta flowing through her veins. It was perfect for fulfilling her dream. In any case, she wouldn't interfere with the main heroine and the main hero. And that's why she thought she wouldn't be executed. Because she would try to change her fate by then and make her dream come true. Precisely because she dreamed of something for a very long time. The main heroine remembered that she has a stepbrother who is also the future head of the family. He was also an archmage, Roel Drita. This man possesses healing powers and can control all divine power. The next person is the heir of Duke Shanravis. And then comes the main hero of this work. His name was Roxalyn Draco, and he was the crown prince of the Rate Empire. The girl also remembered that in the novel, there's a storyline about one hero who went mad with love and planned to destroy the world. More precisely, he was a lord, a demon, and his name was Daon Behemoth. The very last character was the main heroine of the novel, the true owner of the Holy Sword. She was a saint, and her name was Pandora Valentina. It was precisely because of all these heroes that the girl's everyday life went to hell. The heroine thought, why does everything turn out so unfairly? After all she wants in this world is to be an ordinary farmer. After some time, the girl saw that she was on her own farm. Looking around, she saw shining golden rice. She immediately realized, could this be the successful farmer's life? She realized she was indeed a successful farmer, but suddenly she woke up at home. Waking up, she immediately realized, was it a dream? When the girl came to her senses, everything became even stranger for her. The heroine walked through the corridors of the mansion where she lived and thought that for the first time in a long while, she had a dream. The main heroine was called Erika Drita. The girl retained memories from her past life, and now she was the future villainess. In her past life, she was completely obsessed with agriculture. All this happened thanks to her parents, the Verniers. From a young age, the girl grew up on a farm. It so happened that she dreamed of becoming a farmer and even dropped out of school because of it. As soon as she left, she took up agriculture, and in just 5 years, she made their farm a world leader in rice production. As a result, she earned respect and envy from many people. That was her ideal life and the peak of her farming career. But just a short while later, something terrible happened. On an ordinary day, the woman was returning home, crossing the road. Suddenly, she turned to the side and saw a truck coming. In the next moment, it hit the girl, killing her. After some time, the girl found herself in this novel. Suddenly, her memory returned to when she lived an ordinary life as a young girl. She remembered everything about her life and the madness that happened to her. The moment she suddenly recalled her past life, a wave of panic hit her. Her new parents at that moment were shocked about what was happening to the girl. The world she had been living in until now was actually a world from a novel. This was the very novel the main heroine had read just before her death. It turns out she was reincarnated into one of the novel's characters. This work was called The Noble Countess. The plot of the novel was extremely simple. The main heroine was a woman who possessed the divine powers of Pandora. And on top of that, a crazy hero appears, falling in love with Pandora. That's how it turned into some kind of romance novel. It so happened that in the original plot, a villainess appears who pursues Pandora. And that villainess was exactly who the heroine was reincarnated into. That villainess was called Erica Drietta. Erica was raised in an aristocratic family, so she was called the Treasure of Drietta. She had a bad temper and immense strength. She also bullied many people, including the main heroine, Pandora. Because of this, Erica's evil deeds only worsened over the years. In the end, even her family turned away from her. She lost everyone who was on her side, and eventually she was executed for her sins. The girl recalled this entire story and wondered why it was all like this. Because it turns out that in the end, she would still die in this story. The new father and mother of the main heroine were shocked about what was happening to the girl. The woman noticed this and asked if everything was okay with her. The girl looked at her mom, thinking that, in the original story, this girl's parents were on her side until the end and protected her, it seems, to the very last. The heroine also realized that until now, they had been raising her with all their love. Seeing her parents' faces, the girl asked if she was in big trouble. Tears appeared on her face and she blushed deeply. She immediately thanked her parents for their care and for raising her. She also noted that in the future, she would become a diligent daughter. The parents immediately asked Erica what was hurting her and why she was so red at that moment. All this happened just a few days ago. The girl was sitting in her room again, thinking about how to avoid her death. After long deliberation, she concluded that at this age, Erica hadn't yet committed any of her evil deeds. That's why she now had a chance to change her future. It turns out that right now, Pandora hadn't yet met the main hero, and she wouldn't bother the main hero and heroine. That's why she wouldn't be executed. She also remembered all the main characters of this novel and thought that under no circumstances should she meet them. Looking out the window, the girl thought she could go crazy because she still needed to come up with some kind of plan. Suddenly, looking outside, she noticed green grass and a tree growing nearby. She immediately smiled and thought that she had an idea after all, because it turns out she could succeed in agriculture, just like in her past life. The girl firmly decided that, at least in this life, she must live to old age. But then she remembered that she had a small problem. She thought about whether she should go to that very person. She remembered the person who was on her side in the novel. This person was another main character. After some time, the girl set off in a carriage to some place. Suddenly, the coachman announced to the lady that they had finally arrived, and she began to get out. As she stepped out of the carriage, she froze, staring at that very place. She realized they had arrived at the magical tower. This place was quite large and had rather beautiful architecture. It was the Imperial Research Institute, which was a magical tower. The girl entered and thought that this wasn't a place just anyone could come to, but she could enter thanks to her family's crest. Now the girl was sitting in one of the rooms, sipping delicious tea. Because of this, she was glad it was quite tasty. Suddenly, the girl remembered that she came here with a special purpose. She immediately wondered whether that person she came to see would show up. A moment later, the girl put down her tea and heard someone address her by her full name, Erica Drietta. The girl smiled sweetly and thought that he had finally come. It was that very guy, her older brother. Entering the room, he asked what she had forgotten here. His name was Roel Drietta. Looking into his eyes, the main heroine realized there was no warmth in them, only a very cold gaze. This person hated her so much and was her only older brother, because it turns out he was one of the main male characters in this novel. The Duchess Drietta, after marriage, couldn't have children for a long time. Roel was adopted, but as soon as he got used to family life, they had a daughter. That daughter was the main heroine. After that, the boy's position in the duchy worsened significantly. The girl constantly deprived her brother of attention and took everything good from him. Erica, being strong, used her status. After all, in the end, he wasn't the biological son of the Drietta family. So Erica, despite her parents' love, felt more connected to the Drietta family. Creating a rift between the Duke, the Duchess, and Roel, the girl banished her older brother to the magical tower. As a result, the boy hated his younger sister so much that he was ready to burn her alive. Harboring such strong hatred, in the original story, he completely renounced her. At the moment of the main villainess's execution, Roel was also present. And on that very day, he smiled so sincerely for the first time, watching it all. All this because Erica took away his greatest treasure, his family. That's exactly why this guy harbored such hatred toward her. After brief reflection, the girl heard her older brother address her. He asked what had brought her here after all. The girl thought that, considering the real plot, it was quite natural for him to be so angry at the sight of her. The girl hesitated with her response at first. She thought it was scary to face such a person in reality. She immediately wondered how to make eye contact with him. Suddenly, the heroine stood up and declared that she came to visit her brother. She noted that it was all because they were family. She also thought she shouldn't fear Roel, as he was still a child. She considered that she would definitely need this guy to survive in the future. Hearing these words, her interlocutor suddenly smiled strangely. He immediately asked if they were really family. He threw a malicious glance and asked why they would be family. He added that he simply couldn't believe his ears that the girl had said those words. Hearing these words, the main heroine was shocked. She panicked greatly and thought about what to do. After all, the atmosphere between them was getting worse. If it continued like this, Roel would deal with her before she was even executed. She thought she needed to act now and addressed her brother. After that, she noted that she had something to tell him. She thought she needed to take this first step. By this first step, the girl meant kneeling. She did just that and declared to her brother that she was wrong. She wondered if he could see all this, as she had even set aside her pride. She continued to apologize to him, saying she was doing it sincerely. She asked him to forgive her for everything. She also thought that her pride wasn't so important now, as her life was more valuable. She added that he might not forgive her, but she would still try to fix everything. She promised that things would be completely different from now on. She thought she was simply begging him to save her. Suddenly, her older brother told her that was enough. He also declared that he wasn't her real brother anyway. The girl wanted to say something to him, but the boy interrupted her. In the next moment, he used his magic to lift the girl. She immediately stood up. The heroine was shocked and thought, could this be magic? Then her interlocutor told her not to speak and that he didn't want to hear any more of it. After that, he extended his hand toward the girl and declared that nothing could change anyway. And with that, he threw her out of the room they were in. Sometime after all these events, the heroine was in her room. After that time, she visited her older brother several times, but he never came out to see her. The heroine lay in her room and noted that they probably wouldn't be able to communicate anymore. After so many efforts, nothing worked. Now it seemed she had no choice but to keep apologizing until Roel forgave her. She realized that, according to the original novel, Roel truly wanted to kill Erica. This happened after she seriously started harassing the main heroine, Pandora. She understood that she needed to be much more careful moving forward. She also wondered what to do with her older brother now. For a few minutes, she lay there thinking about what to do. Then she remembered that vision and her past life growing rice. She immediately stood up and thought that was it. She needed to focus on farming. Compared to her previous life, where she started from the bottom, this life was very different. After all, in this world, she was a duke's lady. This meant she had a golden spoon in her mouth. As a result, she noted that this would be the beginning of her noble farming life. After some time, the main heroine went to look out the window. She observed the surrounding area and thought that there was flat land everywhere and a perfect environment for growing something. Then she exhaled deeply and declared that it was just a waste of time. After all, so much goodness was going to waste. Looking at the vast estate outside the window, she couldn't help but think about it all. In her past life, she worked hard on growing rice. Seeing how quickly it grew warmed her heart and made her very happy. She always thought that year would bring a wonderful harvest. Now she felt frustrated that all those efforts were in vain. Suddenly, she smiled and thought that she could start doing it all in her new world. As long as she didn't give up, her desire would never fade. After that, she ran downstairs and thought that she just needed to try again, because she would strive to achieve great success in growing rice. As the heroine descended from her room, she suddenly stopped, seeing something. Turning her head, she saw a huge sword on a stand. The girl immediately wondered what kind of sword it was. After some time, the girl left and was working in the garden. Suddenly, the Drietta gardener addressed the lady. He asked if he could know what she was doing here. The girl was surprised by such a question and then hesitated with her answer. A moment later, she smiled and declared that she was plowing the field. The gardener, surprised, asked what it meant to plow the field. Right after that, he asked why she was doing all this. Hearing this question, the heroine thought that she was full of energy now. and she didn't even know how to answer this person's question. A moment later, she raised her hand and declared that it was her hobby. She added that in their time, it was a very popular activity. The man asked if farming as a hobby suited her. Smiling, she declared that it was exactly so. Then she asked if this person could get her some seedlings and seeds. The man noted that it would definitely be difficult, but he added that if she really needed it, he could help her with it all. He also noted that she was such a small girl doing such hard work. The main heroine proudly and with a smile declared that she was fine. After all, she had a very strong body. The gardener noted that the problem was that she could get hurt or, worse, catch some illness while working. He added that rumors in the duchy spread very quickly. At that moment, the girl stood before him, and behind her was the very sword that had recently been in the mansion. After hearing her interlocutor's words, the girl declared that her mom and dad tended to exaggerate a lot. Because honestly, was she really that weak and helpless? He replied that she was still too young for such hard work. After all, she was a fragile flower that hadn't even bloomed yet. The main heroine immediately visualized these words in her head. The man continued, saying that fieldwork wasn't for ladies like her. The girl smiled at him and immediately thought, does he really doubt her like that? Looking at him, she thought that the gardener's physique was perfect for planting rice. After her thoughts, the girl smiled and asked if he was really so worried about her. She also noted that she would work a little and then return to her room. The man exhaled deeply at these strange words. He noted to the lady that she had changed quite a bit lately. The girl made a surprised face at this. Then she addressed Felix and declared that he shouldn't worry. Because thanks to him, their garden had become much more beautiful than before. The girl's words slightly embarrassed the man. Then he declared that it was his job after all. The girl immediately thought that taking care of plants wasn't such an easy task. After some time, she addressed Felix and asked him to bend down to her. He, in turn, said he would do so and complied. The girl took her headgear, a straw hat, and handed it to him, placing it on his head. She noted that from this day, the hat was at his disposal. This meant he would use it for his work. This greatly embarrassed the gardener, and he immediately asked, surprised, how he could accept it. But the girl smiled at him again and declared that it was fine and he should just take it. And in this way, he would help her with farming. The man didn't particularly like it, but he immediately said he would do so. After that, they crossed their work tools. The man held garden shears, and the girl held a white sword. The main heroine thought that everything was perfect. Her operation to make him her assistant was successfully completed. Felix sat for a few seconds, looked at the girl's tool, and then froze. He immediately thought, could he really have seen what he thought he did? Suddenly, with a shocked face, he asked the lady what she was holding. He jumped to his feet and asked if it was really the Drietta family relic, because it turned out to be the very holy sword Garcian. The girl immediately asked what Garcian he was talking about. After that, she began thinking about the novel's plot she had read. The girl immediately asked what Garcian he was talking about. After that, she began thinking about the novel's plot she had read. Recalling the novel's plot, if a person with a noble heart used the sword, it would also pass its power to the chosen person. It turned out that this sword was used by the novel's main heroine, and the girl remembered that she had read exactly this in the original plot. Then the main heroine hid the sword behind her back and declared that, of course, it wasn't. She asked if he really thought she would bring it here. She also recalled that she had just looked at it and the thing seemed very beautiful to her, so she grabbed it and went to the garden. The gardener exhaled deeply and declared that it was a family relic after all. The girl noted that she knew that. The heroine knew that in the Drietta family, this relic played a very important role. That's why they didn't hide it but showed it to everyone. The man told the lady that it should be returned. The main heroine added that she would bring it back when she was done with the field. She thought that it was actually the best item right now. She was very curious whether this weapon would react to her strength. The gardener noted that if the Duke found out, it would be bad. They immediately remembered the Lord and thought it would really be bad. After that, the girl declared that she had no other choice. She twirled the sword in her hands and added that she would put it back in its place. She also noted that she was now very sad and felt sorry, because it could have become her work tool. The man noted that if that was the case, he would go back to work. Then he happily turned around, humming some songs, and ran off to work. The girl saw this and was even happier, because she thought that now no one would bother her. She twirled the sword in her hands again and thought that she could secretly use it without anyone knowing. At that time, she didn't know that because of this holy sword, her life would change greatly in the future. Sometime after these events, the gardener approached the main heroine again. He was holding some things in his hands. He addressed the lady and declared that these were the seeds and seedlings she had recently asked for. The heroine, with a joyful smile on her face, immediately thanked Felix. He in turn smiled warmly and said there was no need for thanks, as it was his job. He added that he was glad the girl was satisfied. At that moment, she went to the seedlings to take a look. She began examining all the bags and seeds. Then she addressed Felix and asked if he had found rice seedlings. The man smiled at her and noted that he couldn't quite explain it to her. He was curious about what rice seedlings even looked like, in her opinion. The main heroine was very surprised by this question and asked what he had just said. She was curious if he even knew what rice was. The man immediately apologized and noted that he was simply not an expert in all this. It turned out that he didn't know what it looked like, so he asked other people. But even after asking, no one knew what rice seedlings looked like. The girl froze at these words and thought, how could no one know? After brief reflection, she thought, how could people not know about the existence of rice? Then the girl told her interlocutor that she understood. She thought that maybe people here just hadn't discovered rice yet. The girl approached the man and whispered in his ear to keep it a secret from everyone. She asked if he would do it. Smiling sweetly, she added that it was just because everyone would worry about it. The heroine thought that when she announced to all her tutors that she was taking a break, everyone sighed with relief. All this because her passion for farming had to remain a secret. The gardener immediately smiled and told the lady that she could trust him, and he would keep it a secret. The girl thought, why did she have such distrust toward him? After a short while, the girl went to the mansion. A table was already set there with various dishes for her. She sat and ate calmly. She also thought that now, when her parents were so supportive, it was a huge opportunity. At that moment, the chef came out to the girl. His name was Kill. He brought more dishes to the table while humming some melody. The heroine immediately addressed him and declared that he was their chef. So, did he know what rice was? This man was the chef of the Duchess, named Kill. He thought with surprise and then asked if rice was some kind of pastry. The heroine noted that it wasn't the rice he was thinking of. She asked if he really didn't know what rice was. The man immediately began thinking about it. After brief reflection, he asked with surprise if there was anything like that in his practice. The girl became sad at this and thought, could he really not know? She then thought that, come to think of it, she had never eaten rice here either. While she was thinking about it all, the man exclaimed that he remembered everything. The girl asked if it was true. With a joyful face, he declared that it was exactly so. After that, he brought a book titled Tips for Goods and Sweet Snacks and Desserts of Ancient Times. He noted that he had read about it in this book. The heroine thought, what kind of book was he holding? The man continued, saying it talked about the snacks of ancient people. It turned out that this culture had died out over time, and he asked if she was interested in it. He also said it was great that she was interested in history. The chef's words greatly surprised the girl and left her stunned. The girl thought with surprise, what was this ancient rice? She asked if he was saying that rice was that extinct culture and no longer existed. Her interlocutor noted that he had never seen rice himself. He asked if the girl wasn't happy that their wheat hadn't gone extinct. When he said this, he laughed heartily. The girl thought his words sounded quite promising. Then she thought about her plans and wondered what to do with her dream now. After all, as long as her past life's memories lived in her, she couldn't forget about Reese. While thinking about it, she imagined a vast rice field she was walking through. Then the heroine jumped up and asked if he had any other information about rice. Hearing this, the man opened the book and began flipping through it. After flipping through for a bit, he declared that there was one rather interesting passage in the book. The passage said that demon beasts loved rice, and that's why all the rice was taken to Mount Gaji. After reading, the man noted that it was just a story, but it said demons took their harvest. The main heroine thought that, in any case, it meant rice had existed in this world. So, not all was lost. Because the girl noticed that this world had the perfect atmosphere for growing rice. She knew there had to be some way. And so she still wasn't going to give up on fulfilling her dream. After some time, the heroine went back to the garden to work. She suddenly smiled joyfully and exclaimed that she had done it. She also joyfully announced that her garden beds were finally ready. Then she sat over them and thought that they would soon start sprouting and blooming, and over time she would get their fruits. While the main heroine was looking at her garden beds, a maid approached her. She immediately addressed the girl, and the girl paid attention to her. The woman declared that the Duke and Duchess had arrived. The girl asked in surprise if it was already time. She also noted that they should have warned her earlier about it. The heroine's father and mother had indeed arrived, holding gifts for the girl. As soon as she learned of their arrival, she ran to hug them. They, in turn, were happy to see their daughter. The heroine thought that since she remembered her past life, for some reason, she felt awkward communicating with her parents. But now she had adapted perfectly, and it had become easier for her to talk to them. The father asked the girl what new things had happened in those days. The girl smiled and noted that she had gone to the magical tower to visit her older brother. She also thought that she wouldn't mention anything about farming for now. The woman was very surprised to hear these words. Then she asked the girl if he had greatly offended her recently. The heroine immediately thought, what did the real Erica do to them to make them think like that? She then noted that it wasn't so, and she really got along well with her brother. The parents asked what she was talking about. After that, she decided to tell her parents everything about Roel. She did this because she knew him better than anyone else. It turned out that he just wanted parental love and understanding, and now the girl needed to bring him back home before it was too late. She soon told the Duke and Duchess why Roel went to the magical tower. It was all because of her stupidity and reality. She also told them the fact that her older brother was just trying to get along with her. At that moment, it was clear that they listened to her story with great regret. The mother told Erica, looking at her now, that she had thought about it for a long time. She added that perhaps it was partly their fault for not taking proper care of Roel. After all, as a family, they should have supported him. After a short while, the main heroine was eating with her parents. But besides the girl's parents, her older brother was also sitting at the table. The girl thought that there was that same thin sheet of ice again, because she didn't think it would happen so quickly and immediately. At one point, the Duke cleared his throat and asked his eldest son if he liked the food. He, in turn, simply said that he did. Hearing such a response, the heroine thought that, as she expected, it was a cold and precise answer from him. Before this, the father had told the heroine that he would invite Roel to dinner. And so it turned out that the boy was dining with them for the first time now. The girl sat and ate, thinking that she would deal with everything later. But first, she needed to enjoy the food. Suddenly, the father addressed his son and declared that he had heard from Erica that it was all some kind of misunderstanding. He added that he was wrong. Hearing this, the main heroine immediately jumped in and told the father that she was the one to blame. But the man told his daughter to just sit down. The Duchess also joined the conversation, telling her son that she wanted to apologize to him too. She added that she was very sorry about the whole situation that had happened. The boy sitting across from his parents was shocked that they apologized to him, and also that it was his younger sister who told them all this. The main heroine knew that her older brother was born in the slums. That's how he wandered through dirty streets. But it was all until the moment the Duke and Duchess appeared before him. That's when Roel first felt that warmth, parental love for him. Later, he went to the magical tower, thinking they had simply thrown him out. And that's why he came to hate the Drietta family. Suddenly, the boy told his parents that they shouldn't apologize, as it was all his fault. The mother immediately asked if he really didn't want to come back home. He, in turn, noted that the magical tower was the very place he wanted to go to from the beginning. And because of that, he wasn't planning to return home yet, as he had unfinished business. But he thanked his parents for inviting him home and apologizing to him. The mother, hearing these words, was quite happy. The main heroine remembered that it was indeed true. It turned out that her older brother always dreamed of the magical tower. The girl asked if he really wanted to become an archmage. Roel noted that if he could master high-level magic, he could pass the exam for the archmage title. The girl continued eating and thought that it was indeed true. Because, as she remembered, after this novel, her brother would indeed become a great mage in the future. And all this because it was a great opportunity for him to become an archmage, but he had to go through a lot. It turned out that he studied complex magic for several years and also researched new magic, because his goal was precisely to pass that archmage exam. In fact, his story begins a little later than the original plot. This happened because it took a lot of time to complete the journey to becoming an archmage. Even after going through that thorny path, Roel still wanted to become a great mage. Even after becoming what he wanted, he still wished to raise the reputation of his Drietta family. All this because he thought he owed them a great deal. The Duke told the boy that it was good, and if he wanted to become an archmage, they would support him in everything. He also said that he didn't know if it was good or bad, but the main thing was that he shouldn't worry, as they would always be on his side. He also asked how about seeing the family more often. The heroine thought that Roel Drietta was definitely a part of the Drietta family, and she perfectly understood that he knew it himself. Hearing his father's words, the boy said that, of course, he would do that. He looked away and seemed to blush a little. The main heroine looked at him and thought he seemed to be feeling better. The Duke asked the boy how his magical training was going. The boy noted that he was working hard, but it wasn't enough yet. The girl thought, how could it not be enough? Because she remembered from the novel's plot that even the crown prince, who became a swordmaster, wouldn't be able to defeat Roel. Then the girl smiled and declared that her brother was so smart. She noted that mom and dad were very proud of him. She also noted that her brother was so young and could already use very powerful magic. Hearing such words, the older brother was in absolute shock. The parents themselves were shocked by their daughter's words. The mother immediately asked if what the girl said was really true. The father noted that when it came to the most powerful magic, not even all experienced mages could handle it. He asked if he was correct. The man noted that it was wonderful at such a young age. Because of this, the boy said that his magic was still unstable and needed some fixing. But the father asked if that wasn't already an achievement. After all, it was as expected of his son. The main heroine joyfully watched their conversation. Looking at the boy, she thought that if only someone could see him. He was quite embarrassed at the moment. She thought that everything was great and her mission had gone quite successfully. She also thought that her older brother was still a child after all. Suddenly, he looked at her with his cold gaze, and their eyes met for a moment. The parents were quite joyful at that moment and constantly smiled. The girl immediately turned away from the boy's cold gaze. She thought that she shouldn't rejoice like that, because her older brother had almost burned her with just one look. In any case, she had managed to melt Roel's cold heart a little. Now she was sure that in the future, they would get along great. A short while later, the older brother was already leaving for the magical tower. The mother said that the boy should be careful and visit home more often. She also worried because the road wasn't entirely safe now. The father also noted that when the boy arrived, he should definitely write a letter, because lately the number of demons had greatly increased. Hearing this, the main heroine asked if the number of demons had really increased. The Duke fatherly placed his hand on her head to calm her. He laughed and said that it was indeed so. That's exactly why Mom and Dad were at the Imperial Palace. The Duchess said that the problem was in the mountains. His Majesty was very concerned about the sudden increase in demon attacks. The man noted that in such times, the Empire's sword must always be on guard. The father then told his son that, as he had said before, he should be careful. The boy noted that he understood and would do so. The main heroine thought, wasn't it dangerous to send him alone like that? After all, she knew that in this world there were many so-called demon beasts. They were a strange race that couldn't be described in words. It turned out that they were extraordinarily strong and very agile. But the biggest problem was with people themselves, because demon beasts often attacked them. Because of this, the imperial family hired the Drietta family to protect the citizens. They were also sent to guard the borders. The family was ordered to protect the capital from demon beast attacks. Though demons caused trouble, there were times when they became useful. The girl knew that the empire she lived in was near Mount Gaji, where demon beasts resided. And for this reason, the courageous Cookman Empire had not yet conquered the Right Empire. All this happened only because of the demons on Mount Gaji. But remembering all this, the girl realized that the number of demons on the mountain had greatly increased now. The father continued, saying that a demon named Dragon, living on Mount Gaji, was currently the most dangerous, but it was an unusual demon because they say it took grain. And so grain would soon become an extinct crop. Hearing this, the girl joyfully realized, that's it. So it turned out that this demon named Dragon definitely knew the secret of rice. At that moment, her older brother was saying goodbye to his parents and said he was leaving. Before getting into the carriage, he threw a cold glance at the main heroine. But at that moment, the girl was distracted and thought that it was time for her to deal with this and learn more about this demon. After all these events, the main heroine began training. She was on a hill in her mansion and declared that she would succeed. And the main thing now was to follow her dream. And then she jumped down. But her landing was unsuccessful, and she hit the ground. Then she stood up, and there was a rather large bruise on her head. She thought that she still couldn't get used to this body. It turned out that she decided to climb Mount Gaji herself. And because of that, to reach it, she trained hard. She practiced lifting stones, high jumps, and maintaining balance. The girl felt that, as expected, the blood of the Drietta family flowed in her. Most people in this family had incredible strength. Fortunately for the main heroine, Erica was a pure-blood Drietta. After her unsuccessful jump, the girl headed somewhere. Her whole body hurt terribly, and she thought her ankle was aching. But she thought that she wouldn't give up on growing rice so easily. Right after that, she rushed toward the forest. She thought that since she took the holy sword with her, she would definitely be safe. A short while later, the girl stopped in the middle of the forest. She looked around and declared that the road was much wider than she thought. The girl remembered that Mount Gaji was right behind the Drietta Duchy, but she learned this route from the butler. A moment later, the main heroine crouched in the bushes nearby and thought about whether she could set up an ambush there. She also thought that she had climbed this mountain quite easily. At that moment, she remembered that her body from her past life was perfectly trained for physical activities. There wasn't a sport she hadn't tried. And on top of that, she studied all methods of growing various crops. But still, she was greatly worried about this small body she ended up in. Suddenly, the girl raised her head and saw something in front of her. There on a clearing was a small creature with big ears. The girl carefully examined it and thought, could this be that dragon? A few moments later, the heroine noticed that the creature was running away from her. This happened because it noticed the girl. She saw it running in another direction. Following its route, she realized that its lair was there. After that, she headed toward a hole in the wall. The heroine managed to crawl a little into this burrow. There, she saw countless supplies of various seeds and vegetables. But despite all this, she didn't see the cherished rice she had dreamed of and came for. But despite this, she was very curious about where they all came from. As the girl was climbing out of the burrow, that same rabbit was watching her. Suddenly, the girl saw it and greeted it. Because of its appearance, she thought, could it be angry at her? Suddenly, a terrifying howl came from it. Right after that, it transformed into a huge, ferocious animal, not a small rabbit. The main heroine thought, why did it suddenly become so big? She began examining it closely and focused on its neck. There, the girl saw a pendant with grains. She thought, could those be grains? That might mean this rabbit is the dragon. Then the heroine realized she was in serious trouble. The huge animal was already attacking the girl, trying to kill her. But she wasn't afraid of it at all and thought that, despite everything, she would take the rice seeds from this animal. She drew her sword to attack it and defend herself. A moment later, they both charged at each other in a fierce attack. From their faces, it was clear that neither was going to give up. After some time, the heroine stopped and thought that it wasn't as simple as she had thought. This animal definitely wasn't going to lose. At that moment, her ankle, which she had injured before her journey, was hurting badly. She realized that she couldn't move at all because of her ankle. She began thinking that it was all because she had jumped too high back then. Raising her head, the main heroine noticed that the huge rabbit was attacking her. She saw that its paw was already too close and realized she couldn't dodge it. Accepting her fate, she closed her eyes, awaiting the attack. But at that very moment, the heroine heard someone shout for a shield. Opening her eyes, the girl was shocked because she saw her older brother Roel in front of her. He used his magic to protect the girl with the shield. After protecting his younger sister, he used an attack that caused an explosion. With this action, he drove the huge animal away. The girl looked at it all in great surprise and wondered what her brother was doing here. At that moment, the boy turned to her. With a cold expression, he asked what the girl was doing here alone. He also asked what she was thinking when she came here alone. At that moment, behind him was the huge beast attacking again. The boy managed to notice the attack at the last moment but could no longer do anything. And yet, the animal's attack reached its target. The brother and his younger sister were thrown aside by the attack. A few moments later, the main heroine came to her senses. But in front of her, she saw her brother lying there. She immediately called out to him, but he just lay there and didn't respond to the girl. The girl carefully examined the boy and realized he was breathing very weakly. She thought, could he have fainted? While she sat and dealt with all this, she heard the huge beast approaching her. The girl turned and saw that it was already close and preparing for another attack. The heroine looked at the monster and realized she had been too overconfident before. A moment later, she took her sword in her hands and held it in front of her. She pleaded with it to give her strength. She needed strength to protect her older brother Roel. A moment later, the sky was lit by a bright beam coming from the sword. The beam of light was so bright that it even blinded the animal that wanted to attack the girl. The main heroine realized that she had finally succeeded. Suddenly, someone addressed her and declared that she was a fool. The girl asked what they were talking about. Looking at her sword in her hands, she saw it had changed greatly. It was the sword addressing the girl now. It asked how she could turn it into some kind of hoe. She looked at the sword and thought, what kind of nonsense was this? The sword's spirit continued, saying it wasn't a hoe because it was a holy sword. But the girl remained shocked and asked if it was a hoe. The spirit was shocked and told her not to ignore it. The girl, with a smile on her face, thought that no matter how you looked at it, it looked like an ordinary hoe. And on top of that, it fit her hand perfectly. With patience, the girl asked if this was a top-class hoe. She added that it even talked, which was quite interesting. But the sword spirit told her again that it was a holy sword. The heroine noted again that she couldn't believe she was holding this hoe. The sword asked if she thought that sounded like a compliment to it. The huge rabbit, meanwhile, looked in surprise at what was happening in front of it. The sword continued expressing its dissatisfaction. It asked if the girl was aware of how much she had hurt the pride of the holy sword. The heroine didn't answer and immediately caught the rabbit's gaze. After that, she realized she needed to deal with this animal first, and everything else would come later. At that moment, the main heroine remembered her real mother's words. The woman told her to listen carefully to her words, because she didn't need to see or feel. You could imagine it all just by closing your eyes. The girl visualized in her head that weeds were in front of her, and those were the weeds she needed to pull out. She decided to think about their roots and how to destroy them. A moment later, she opened her eyes and was already in a fierce attack. She recalled the law on farmers' rights in its Chapter 1. According to the main heroine, that chapter stated that you needed to hit the weeds hard. The girl struck the huge animal with all her strength using her weapon, shaped like a hoe. This fierce attack succeeded easily for the girl, and she knocked the animal down after it. A few moments later, she turned to see what had happened to that dragon. She looked a bit scared, as she was worried about whether she had succeeded. But the girl saw that the huge monster was already lying unconscious near her. She was overjoyed and thought that she had finally defeated it and managed to do it. After that, the heroine saw blood on herself and wondered what it was. She then looked at her hoe and examined it carefully. She thought she wasn't sure, but it meant the holy sword had indeed shared its immense power with her. After coming to her senses a bit, she thought about what had happened to that monster and that she needed to check it urgently. She slowly began crawling toward the unconscious animal's body. When she got a bit closer, she saw the pendant that had hung around the monster's neck. She was overjoyed and grabbed it immediately. Examining it closely, she thought it was definitely rice, or rather, rice seeds. With joyful tears in her eyes, she thought that she hadn't been mistaken after all. But before this, she had even thought she would never find her cherished rice. She realized it was under some strange spell now. She lifted the pendant up and wondered how to get the grains out of it. The heroine also wondered why this demon wanted to seal the rice. After that, she looked up, then suddenly lowered her head and thought her head was spinning. After a while, she even felt like she might faint. At that moment, when she felt ill, her older brother ran up to her. As he approached, he immediately called out to the girl. The heroine saw him and thought, thank God her brother was okay. She thought she really wanted to be with Roel, but she couldn't endure any longer. Her condition wasn't the best, but she still stood up and threw herself into her brother's arms. He in turn didn't expect such a turn of events and was shocked. The girl immediately declared that she was so glad her brother was okay. So the heroine stayed in his arms and thought that she was truly happy she had managed to protect Roel. She thought about what could have happened if they both got hurt here, but then she decided she wouldn't even think about it. A short while later, the main heroine found herself in her bed. She was still sleeping and suddenly heard someone calling her by name. It wasn't one person, but many, and the girl thought it was very noisy in the room. Because of this, she opened her eyes and sat up. She shouted to everyone in the room to stop making noise because she hadn't even died. This was because the room was indeed very noisy and it bothered the girl. When she woke up, she saw countless people in front of her. In her room were her parents, the gardener, the chef, the maid, and the butler. They were all overjoyed when the girl woke up. Looking at them all, the girl thought, what was going on? Suddenly, her father approached and placed his hand on her head. He asked how Erica was feeling now. The heroine noted that she was fine, but asked what they were all doing in her room. They told her they were just very worried about her. The gardener, with tears in his eyes, noted that he thought the lady was dying. The girl remembered that Erica Drita was the only daughter of the Drita family. That's why everyone around her overly pampered her. And all this because she was their most desired child. That was enough for Erica to become a villainess. But despite this, she understood that she was already very tired of all this fuss around her. Someone present said they would immediately dive to 100 meters in the ocean and get an elixir of immortality. Someone else said that wasn't it, because they would go and bring a centaur's healing horn. The girl was very tired of all these shouts and declared that she'd had enough. She added that she was fine. Everyone immediately quieted down and paid attention to her. At that moment, the Duchess began ushering everyone out of the room. She declared to them all that she needed to talk to her daughter alone, so she asked them to leave. The Duke asked in surprise if he had to leave too. The woman told Hazen that he had to do it too and kicked him out of the room. After that, they were left alone in the room, and the mother sat beside her daughter. Smiling, she said that it was finally quiet. She added to Erica that she wanted her to explain now. The main heroine thought that she was already scared of those words. But as expected, her mother's reaction was quite natural. The heroine asked what she needed to explain. The woman, with a slight smile, asked how and why she ended up there alone without an escort. What was she doing there? The heroine smiled awkwardly and said she understood what she was talking about. She thought that all she needed to do was smile foolishly. She noted that she had heard a demon had appeared, and because of that, she couldn't sit still. The mother asked if she couldn't sit still and why. The girl immediately noted that it was because she was a member of the Duchess family. This meant she wanted to fight monsters just like her mom and dad. The woman was shocked by such words from her own daughter. The heroine immediately thought, weren't the words she said a great excuse? The mother sighed sadly and said she understood how she felt now. She added that she shouldn't do that again. She further said that she really understood what the woman was talking about now. The heroine smiled because of this and said she understood. She thought that, fortunately for her, she got away with it this time. The woman saw her smile and immediately approached her. She lightly tapped her on the head and asked what that was after all. Her mother's heart nearly stopped from worrying about her daughter. She added that because of her recklessness, both she and Roel had suffered. The girl immediately remembered her older brother and what he had done before. She asked her mother where he was now. The older brother, in turn, was sitting in the magical tower. He was reflecting on the situation that had recently happened with him and his younger sister. When he returned home, the mother said he had saved his younger sister from a demon. The father also said that Roel was great because he saved his precious little sister. He even patted his son on the head, slightly embarrassing him. After that, the boy asked if they had made them worry. The man noted that it was fine. The main thing was that they returned safe and sound after everything. The mother also told him that they hadn't noticed it before, but when they paid attention, they didn't think Erica would ever do something like that. She added that they were very surprised to see them both like that. The woman was talking about what she saw after the older brother brought his younger sister home on his shoulders. They were badly injured and exhausted, and the girl was unconscious. The Duke recalled this and then, with a smile on his face, told his eldest son that he had done a great job. But he, in turn, noted that it wasn't so, as he was too weak. Suddenly, the mother approached him and told Roel to lift his head quickly. She added that he was truly great, so he shouldn't blame himself for anything. After all, they were the Duchess family, and such things happened often. The Duke, smiling, said it was all true and asked if it wasn't just ordinary for them. They added that he was, after all, a member of the Duchess family. That's exactly what the boy was sitting and thinking about in the magical tower. He even blushed a little, recalling all the kind words his parents had said to him. The woman, hearing her daughter's question, said that Roel had returned to the magical tower. He had received minor scratches. So she noted that the girl shouldn't worry about him. Hearing this, the main heroine jumped out of bed and declared that she urgently needed to get to the magical tower. As she was about to leave, the woman stopped her. She immediately noted that, although the Duchess family members had greater physical strength than ordinary people, there were many other dangers for their family. She asked if the girl understood all this. The heroine paid attention and asked what she was talking about. The woman said it was related to their high status. When danger came, they attacked, not ran away. It turned out that this had long been ingrained in their genes. Then she sadly said that this was why she didn't want the girl to grow up like true Duchess family members. Because despite everything, she needed to run and survive, not fight like everyone else. Then the woman smiled and asked if the girl understood that she was still a child. She also noted that it was okay to want to run away like her mother. She added that this was why she was forbidden from going out the window at night. The heroine was shocked and thought it was a complete failure. A few moments later, the woman addressed the girl again and said they had found that demon. She was holding the very rabbit the main heroine had fought. The mother asked if this was the creature that attacked her. The heroine thought, was this rabbit really that demon? Then she realized it was definitely him. But back then, he was much bigger. The woman added that they caught it and decided not to kill it until they showed it to her. She also noted that it was her first kill, so they needed to see it through to the end. The main heroine was shocked by such words and thought, would she really have to kill it? She carefully looked at the creature her mother was holding. She thought that, despite everything it had done, it was quite cute. And indeed, the creature looked rather adorable. Suddenly, the heroine remembered that times were really tough now. Also, her mother used to be a merciless knight. After thinking a bit, the heroine looked at the rabbit again. She immediately realized that she simply couldn't kill it because it looked quite pitiful to her. After a short while, The rabbit stayed in the girl's room. She stood, carefully examining it, and thought about what to do with it. The rabbit in turn just sat calmly on the floor. Suddenly, someone knocked on the girl's room and then entered. It was a girl who asked if the miss was feeling well. This girl was a maid of the Duchess family, named Betty. Suddenly, she noticed the cute creature lying on the floor. She immediately addressed the girl and asked when she got such a cute rabbit. At that moment, the main heroine remembered something she had heard. It turned out that in the past, people in the Duchess family were very talented. Now she looked at Betty, who was playing with the rabbit. Because of this situation she saw, she was almost certain that Betty wasn't one of them. Sadly, the girl noted that the creature's fur was all torn. She asked who could have done such a cruel thing to it. The heroine immediately thought that the person she was talking about was her. Betty continued looking at it fondly and said that once its fur grew back, it would be even cuter. The heroine heard this and thought, of course, it would be cute. After that, she looked at the rabbit again and thought that it was indeed quite a dangerous beast. It turned out that it attracted innocent people with its appearance, and because of that, it gained their sympathy and favor. At the same time, the girl knew it was watching her closely. She thought maybe she should kill it, as her mother had recently told her. It turned out that the reason they needed to be eliminated was their danger. But then the girl wondered if it didn't pose a threat, was everything okay or not? She also told herself that she needed to think about it. The heroine remembered that her real father in her past life loved animals very much. She recalled one day when she told her father that this animal didn't listen to her at all. But he told her that not all animals were obedient. He added that it was just a common theory. The girl remembered that during training, the animal should understand that it would now receive punishment. She approached her new pet and thought they would learn discipline together. Recalling her father, she decided she would train this creature. The heroine thought that they should start and they would begin with punishment. Because of this, she would instill discipline, as her father in her past life had said. So she thought that with this demonic rabbit, it was a demonic beast. But she wondered if they were all the same. She thought that the best thing she could do now was teach it not to eat people. She wondered how she should do it. Then she addressed Betty and asked why she had come to her. The maid immediately came to her senses and said she had forgotten. She pulled out the very thing the rabbit had worn around its neck from her pocket. Handing it to the girl, she told her to take it. The heroine took it and smiled, saying it was her rice. She added that she had completely forgotten about it and thanked Betty. The maid smiled and said there was no need for thanks. She also noted how precious this thing was to her. She further noted that as soon as the Lord saw it, he was going to burn it immediately. The heroine thought in surprise, what was she talking about? She was curious why he decided to burn it like that. After all, it was the rice grain she had risked her life for. Now she wondered why Roel had reacted to it like that. She thought, could the demon have possessed it and disapproved of the grain in human hands? The girl also understood that she needed magic to get the seeds out of there. She immediately thought of her older brother. She wondered if he would fulfill her request if she asked him. After some time, the girl lay in her bed, examining her hoe. She thought that just thinking about it meant this hoe was the holy sword. She also knew that initially, its owner was supposed to be the main heroine of the novel she ended up in. After all, this weapon was the holy sword Garcian. The Duchess family tried to prevent Erica's execution. And it turned out that this sword was a family relic given to the Duchess by the imperial family. Pandora, who infiltrated the palace disguised as a knight, accidentally saw the sword Garcian. Because of this, it turned out that the holy sword chose Pandora as its mistress. As a result, Erica was angry at the family's sacred relic, because it chose Pandora as its mistress instead of her. Holding deep hatred, she decided to kill Pandora. She didn't know then that it would lead to her own demise. Then the girl stood up and thought that she had already changed the original plot. This happened because she had already claimed it. Now she thought maybe she should go to the field. But then she thought it was better not to, as her head was hurting badly. While she sat and thought about all this, someone addressed her. It was the sword spirit who told the girl to turn it back. But the heroine didn't understand and thought, where was this voice coming from? The spirit addressed her again and said it was here. The girl was shocked again and immediately looked at her sword. It continued saying that it had already spoken to her before. The girl asked in surprise if it could really talk. The interlocutor declared that it was the holy sword Garcian. It had awakened, and didn't the girl understand that yet? It added that it had so many emotions now that it couldn't even talk to her properly. The girl thought, what was it talking about? The sword spirit asked what the girl wanted after all, to save this world, kill demonic monsters, and lead people on the right path. or perhaps eliminate those who threatened her. It further told her to just answer. The girl was shocked again and thought about her desire. She said that if she were to talk about her desire, she'd need to express it more precisely. She jumped off the bed and declared that it was easier to plow a field with a hoe than with a sword. Garcian asked what she had just said and told her to wait. Then she headed outside and said it was the perfect time to go work. The sword asked what she was talking about. The girl asked it if it would be okay after this. It immediately said that, of course, it wouldn't. The heroine shouted for it to finally stop. After all, it had asked her to state her desire. The interlocutor said that it wasn't the right desire. The girl noted that to plant seeds, you needed to plow the ground properly. The spirit noted that it wasn't so, as it was truly a holy sword. The girl asked if it just didn't like the hoe shape. She said maybe she should turn it into a shovel then. Suddenly, the sword flew out of her hands and hovered in the air. It asked if the girl even knew anything about the pride of a holy sword. After all, what field? It was a holy sword. The girl was shocked by this and asked if it could fly, saying it was very interesting. She noted that it was truly a perfect hoe. It continued saying that it was Garcian, the great holy sword, and it could do anything. It said that if the girl wondered why, it was because it was blessed by God himself. But the heroine wasn't listening and jumped up, grabbing it. The interlocutor immediately said that it could handle itself. The girl asked what it had said. She took her fist and smashed the table nearby to pieces. Then, with a smile, she asked if it thought she was still a little child. Pointing to the broken table, she asked if it saw that she could control her strength. The sword was shocked by this turn of events. The girl told it to repeat everything it had said before. Frightened, it told the lady that they should resolve it peacefully. It noted that everything would be fine, and if she needed to plow a field, it would do everything for its mistress. The girl said that was right. At that moment, her rabbit was watching her and trying to slip out of the room. The heroine noticed this and told her pet where it was going. She added that she hadn't allowed it to leave. She added that she needed to plow a field. Then she swung the sword at the animal, and it was very frightened. She noted that there was an old saying not to put off until tomorrow what you could do today. That's why she asked if they should start its punishment. She pointed her sword at the rabbit, and it was even more frightened. After proper discipline with carrot and stick, taming the demonic beast went smoothly. The heroine was offering food to her new pet and asked how about this. The girl named her new rabbit Recon. The creature immediately took the meat she offered. The girl noted that it was right, as it was edible, and the chicken was quite tasty. The heroine thought that the appetite of her pet Recon was tamed by the chicken. It turned out that aggression toward people was the most problematic part of its training. Because when someone entered the room, the creature immediately attacked them. But the girl immediately punished it in those moments, and after getting hit on the head a few times, it calmed down right away. Then the main heroine and her pet went to the field. Looking at it, the girl thought, could it have become calmer now? She noted that it sometimes did some tricks, but that wasn't enough yet. Then they harvested the crop, and the girl used Recon as her assistant. When they finished, the girl addressed it and showed it a seed. She noted that from now on, it would be responsible for sowing seeds and asked if it understood. But it still needed time to teach it everything. In the end, Recon became a worthy farmer's assistant. The girl looked at her pet and thought that the seeds were now planted easily. Suddenly, the gardener approached the heroine and addressed her. He asked if they were really growing a crop. The heroine noted that it was so, as it was much more useful than she had thought before. The man, looking at the pet, said that beasts were naturally ferocious. Because of this, he didn't think they would ever help people. It turned out that no one had ever managed to tame a demonic beast. He further noted that her creature was quite calm for a young lady. But suddenly, they saw it starting to show aggression toward them. The main heroine immediately understood what she needed to do and ran to it. Taking her weapon in the shape of a hoe, she hit it on the head. She shouted at the creature not to show its teeth to everyone. The gardener noted that it was a demonic beast that couldn't escape from a human. He told the girl that she must be a special person. The heroine asked what he was talking about. The man noted that maybe he should bring tools for the demonic beast, because they wouldn't be able to suppress its strength otherwise. The heroine asked if something like that really existed. She added that if it was so, he could bring those tools. Then she was heading somewhere, and her interlocutor asked where she was going. The girl noted that she needed to go to the magical tower and would return right away. The main heroine knew that farming was going smoothly, but there was still one problem. Because after coming to her senses, the girl hadn't seen her older brother Roel even once. She tried to contact him somehow through letters. She sent many messages but never got a response from her brother. Then the heroine thought that maybe something had happened to him. A week had passed since then, and there was still no response. It turned out that she had no choice but to go to the magical tower herself. And so at that moment, the heroine was heading there in a carriage. Along the way, she looked quite sad and thought that she needed to apologize to her older brother. She also needed to talk to him about sealing magic. When the girl arrived at the magical tower, they apologized to her and said it was very difficult to contact him now. But the heroine noted that it would only take a minute, no more. But her interlocutor told her that he had tried calling his number, but there was still no response from him. This person was a mage from the tower named Leah. More genres are coming soon. Subscribe to unlock them all.